Welcome to Go High Level Open Lab with Jackie Durbin, brought to you by the Apex Initiative. I'm super excited to jump in here today and kind of go through some things that are going on inside of Go High Level that you may be seeing inside of your own system and just kind of troubleshooting some of those individual things. So I'm going to jump into the presentation now. The things that we're going to talk about today is going to actually be your A2P approval process. If you've noticed, since June of 2026, things have kind of gotten a little more stringent, and there's a reason behind that. It used to be that there was just automation going through to check all of your things to make sure that you were compliant in order to get to A2P approval. And now that has changed. There is an actual person who is going through this process to make sure that you are doing what you need to do to be able to move on to the next level and send out those text messages. So let's go ahead and look at a little bit about this workshop. First and foremost, my name is Jackie. I am a retired teacher. I taught for nearly 20 years before I got into the real estate industry, and I found out very quickly that there was a lot of real estate agents that were spinning their wheels and not really getting anywhere. They were doing the same things, expecting different results. They were a little lenient to get into using a CRM or an operating system just because they liked to be in charge of everything. They liked to know where their next deal was coming from. They wanted to be a part of everything. And what that does is it either handicapped them into the level of production that they were in, or it would eventually cause burnout because they were doing everything. Possibly some of these real estate agents were actually hiring assistants or maybe even VAs to take some of the things off of their plate. But at the end of the day, they still had to have their thumb into it. And so what I decided was the CRMs that we had used inside of our business were not actually what we needed to use. We needed something that we could build from the ground up, built on the type of things that we were seeing in the industry. And so what we created was the Apex Initiative. What I have done through that is actually see all of the components inside of Go High Level, what actually works, what doesn't work, what are things that agents should be spending their time on or not. But at the end of the day, A2P is what is required to be able to send out any of those text messages. So over the past, I would say 6 to 7 months, I have audited many real estate agents, A2P because they have failed. Maybe it was their case usage policy. Maybe it was their privacy policy. Maybe it was the wording they were using in terms of service. Maybe it was something in their opt-in, or anything else that was inside of their system. And what I've been able to do is to get more of those approved. The reason why is because my own A2P was failed on the first try. So in this slide deck, I'm really going to show you some different things that you need to pay attention to. Number one, we have seen a huge spike in A2Ps being failed in the last couple of months. And so what we're going to look at is the reason why you may be seeing that. And one of the main things is actually in your opt-ins or maybe in those check boxes that you're using. It used to be totally fine to use this language that says, I agree to be contacted. Well, guess what? That is not okay anymore. Many privacy policies still have this. Many of the checkbox still have this. So that is one thing that will automatically get you rejected, get you a failure on that A2P. So let's go ahead and look at some of the other things. Well, A2P, basically what it is it allows you as a business owner to send out text messages, whether they are follow-ups, appointment reminders, maybe you're in a service industry where you're providing a service as a home inspector or home warranty or any of those other areas inside of honestly any industry, but primarily I'm going to talk about real estate just because I'm a real estate agent. So what it does is it allows you as a business to send out those messages. Until you have A2P approval, you cannot send out a single SMS inside of your system, which you may be going, well, I mean, I can still send emails. True. But I would ask you to look at your emails right now on your phone and see how many that you have that are unread. Then I want you to go to your text messages, and I guarantee you there are more unread emails than there are unread text messages. So basically, having this approval allows you to be able to send out those reminders and things. Now, the reason why you have to get this approval is because obviously we want to make sure that these are not spams that are sending out things or anything like that. They're not really abusing the public. So your business brand is extremely important. I will say this, if you have an LLC, and you have an EIN number, it's going to be a little bit easier for you, but don't worry, we're going to go over what if I don't have an LLC, what if I don't have an EIN number. One of the things that I always have all of my clients do first and foremost is go into their business page inside of their Go High Level. When you go in here, you're going to go into your settings, go to your business profile, and you're going to want to look and make sure that your legal business name actually matches the things that you have from your EIN and your LLC. You're also going to want to make sure that the business physical address is also the same. You're going to want to make sure that that's exactly what's on that form because if there's any type of discrepancy, that's going to be an issue. You also want to make sure that the EIN number is actually right, that you have what type of business that you have, what industry it is, and then most importantly, the authorized representative. This is the exact name that's going to show up on that form that you're going to have from the IRS. So you're going to want to make sure that your branding matches completely. Now, what if you're doing business as? Well, you can do it, but it's going to be a little bit harder because they're going to red flag it and say, wait a minute, why are you doing business as? It's not that you can't do it, but just know that that's going to make it a little bit harder. And you're going to have maybe a couple times where you're going to get that rejection. They're going to give you some suggestions and you're going to want to put those into place. Like I said before, you can get A2P if you do not have an EIN or an LLC. When you go in to register for your A2P, you're going to want to say that, hey, guess what? This is a sole proprietor, meaning I don't have these business information. It's totally fine. What you're going to do is you're going to go into your settings, the phone numbers in the trust center, which is where you're going to do your ATP. You're going to click that A2P wizard, and then you're going to say, no, I do not have a tax ID for this business. Again, it's totally fine. I have had customers of my own that I have gotten them approved even when they don't have this thing. Now, if you do have an EIN number because you're using it for a banking account, you cannot say that you don't have an EIN number because you do have one. So make sure that you are paying close attention to how you are registering your business in that brand piece. The next thing that I see a lot of problems is things with privacy policy. It used to be that a computer AI was just going through there, scanning and making sure that you had certain things inside of your privacy policy when the approval process was granted. Now it's actually a live person who is control Fing and seeing and looking for these keywords and also making sure that the language is appropriate. So here are 5 things that you have to make sure that your privacy policy is including. Number 1, what are you collecting? If you are collecting their phone numbers, put that in there. If you're collecting their emails, put that in there. So make sure that you are stating specifically what you are collecting in your privacy policy. Next, how are you going to be collecting this data? Okay. Is it through a form? Is it through a chat widget? Is it through a survey? However, you're collecting that data, make sure that you're putting that inside of there and make sure that those are housed inside of your website. Number 3, you have to say that you're not going to sell this information to third-party marketing. If you have, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that you get a ton of telemarketer phone numbers. And the reason why is because people are selling your information to third-party sites. We have to say in our privacy policy that we will not be selling any of that information. And obviously, yes, you have to not sell the information. Number 4, how to opt out. This has to be in your privacy policy, and you have to say that they're going to reply stop, but you also have to say to what number. And that's going to be your LC number that you've actually purchased through the phone system inside of Go High Level. I also like to make sure that I put my email in there as well. Number 5, the last thing that you have to have in your privacy policy is that message and data rates may apply. Some people are actually seeing that in their privacy policy. Now it's saying that they have to say like a guesstimate of how many messages they would receive in a month. So if you've seen that, it's not that that's something new. Some people are seeing it, some people aren't. You also have to make sure that your privacy policy is at the footer of every single page of your website. So let's think about a website. Okay, you go to the home, down at the bottom, there has to be a link to your privacy policy in terms of service. You go to a buyer page, at the bottom has to be a link to your privacy policy in terms of service. Go to the bottom of a seller page, you get it, right? The other thing is that privacy policy in terms of service cannot be a third party site. If you are a real estate agent, your privacy policy terms of service cannot be off to your brokerage's privacy policy terms of service. It has to be housed inside of your own website. It has to be linked in there. If you're like, how do I do that, Jackie? What you're going to do is you're going to go into your funnel. You're going to add another page. You're going to title it your privacy policy. Now it's going to live inside of that exact same domain as your website. So those are some things that you have to make sure of. Now, what I'm going to show you is a sample privacy policy. If you are watching this on replay, you can message me. You can email me at Jackie at theapexinitiative.ai, and I will send you this exact language that I have used multiple times to make sure that all of my checks are all of my boxes are checked for what is needed. So you need to make sure that you have your privacy policy for your exact legal business name, the same name that is on your business profile inside of your GoHighLevel account, the same name that is on your LLC that is registered, the same business name that is on your EIN registration that you received. You want to have that exact legal business name. If it is a PLLC, make sure that it is PLLC. If it's an LLC, make sure it's an LLC. And then the effective date. The effective date is going to be the day that you write this privacy policy. Then you're going to have contact information. That's going to be your business email, your business phone number, your business address, and your date. If your business address happens to be your home address, you don't have to put that on there. But if it is an actual brick and mortar address, make sure that it's also the one that is registered with your EIN and your LLC. Then you can go ahead and put that on there. But again, if it is your personal home residential address that you use for your business, you don't have to put that on there. Now you're going to make sure that you have these types of headings in there. Number one, information that you collect. Remember, we talked about that. That has to be included. The next thing is how you will collect the phone number. How are they going to be put on there? Remember that, and this is what I see a lot on the opt-in boxes, is they make phone number required. You're going to get rejected. You cannot require a phone number. You have to make it where it is not a requirement. That's why it says right there, we collect mobile phone numbers only when you voluntarily provide them through this form on this website and you check the consent box agreeing to receive text messages. Then you've got your SMS consent. Okay. No mobile information is going to be shared. All of your information is protected. It's not going to be shared with third parties. It's not going to be sold. And then you also have your text messaging program, right? Notice down there at the bottom, it says that they can reply stop to actually opt out. We're saying if they need help, they're going to reply help, or they can contact us at, and we're going to have our phone number that is our LC number, and then also our business email. So again, if you are seeing this and you're like, oh, I didn't get to write all that down, don't worry. You can totally email me at Jackie at theapexinitiative.ai, and I can send this document over to you. You also have to have opt-out language inside of your privacy policy, your data security, the rights that they have as someone who is putting them in their information, and then also updates to this policy, right? You have to say like, hey, if I update this, I'm going to update a whole brand new one. You'll see a new effective date. And then here's something else. Make sure, here's your other pro tip, right? To make sure that this is a part of its own page. So if let's say that your name is Joe Smith, okay? And the domain that you purchased through whatever domain site that you have is joesmith.com. Now this privacy is going to be joesmith.com/privacy policy. If you have a space in the words privacy policy, just note that it's going to have that small dash in there. Sometimes I just don't even put a space, so that way it's all one word. Make sure that that's at the bottom of every single page of either your website or your funnel. Also, on your opt-in forms down at the bottom, you'll note that there are hyperlinks for privacy policy in terms of service. So you're going to want to make sure that those actually go to that website as well. Yes, it makes it look bulky because then you have privacy policy here and then privacy. Leave it all in there because the more that you have, the better. The other thing that we want to talk about is your opt-in language. So a lot of times, when I'm looking at people's forms that they're using on Go High Level in their forms for collecting information, the checkboxes at the bottom say things like, I agree to be contacted, or by check, whatever. You need to change that language, and it needs to be more through like this. By checking this box, I agree to receive, and then whatever you have. Notice that it has to be very specific. So you can't just have things in your opt-in check-in boxes that says, by checking this box, I agree to receive SMS text messages about services and promotions from John Smith LLC. No, no. You have to be extremely specific. And I will say this, if you're in the real estate industry and you're using things like incentives or promotions, that's going to get flagged, because what would be considered a promotion and what could be considered an incentive. So I always tell people real estate updates. What's a real estate update? Okay, that could be an appointment. The word marketing can also get triggered, and the reason why is because what type of marketing? Are you sending marketing to sell your home? So, what I typically do in my opt-in boxes, I'm going to use words like appointment reminders, updates on your current real estate transaction, because that could be listings, that could be buyers, any deadlines that are coming up, and then any replies to questions that you have answered or asked me specifically through this number. Okay. Also, you want to make sure that you're having that reply stop and help, and that data rates apply. Here are some other examples of those opt-in boxes that you can have. So if it's just real estate related, this is the type of stuff you would want. Again, messages about real estate listings, market updates, appointments, marketing from, and then your business name at this number provided. Always make sure that you have that they are going to reply stop to opt out, and that they can reply help. Make sure that you're putting that message rates and data may apply. If you're doing things for appointments or like calendar booking forms, if that's what they're filling out on that form, then you could use this as your checkbox, and it's actually going to convert a lot better than using the one above. So just say, yes, please text me. I agree to receive appointment reminders and follow-up text messages from, again, your business name at the number I provided. Message frequencies could vary. Make sure that you have that stuff in there. A few Go High Level setup is make sure that those checkboxes are unchecked. Okay, so do not have them pre-checked. We cannot tell someone what they're going to agree to. They have to be able to agree to it themselves. The other thing is those checkboxes cannot be required, which I know might seem kind of weird, because like, don't they have to agree to it? No, they don't have to agree to receive text messages from you or SMS information from you. And guess what? If they didn't check those boxes, but they still gave you your information, you do not have the ability to send them an SMS. So you need to make sure that you have workflows put in place, so that way, if they are not checking those boxes, you are adding them as a DND for SMS. Now let's move forward to some other things. Where is all of this language actually going to live? So those opt-in are going to sit directly above the submit button. So when you're filling out the form, it should auto-populate in that way. But if you're creating a form from scratch, just make sure that the opt-in boxes are above the submit, right? Make sure that it is not in a linked page. Make sure that it doesn't collapse. They have to be able to see all that stuff. Also, down at the bottom of that opt-in form, make sure that the link to your privacy policy and terms of service are actually there. I believe when you're filling out your forms inside of Go High Level, it's just going to have like a sample domain in there. So make sure that you're taking that out and putting in your full domain. Once you've hit saved, go ahead and view that page. Click those links to make sure that they work, because that's what someone's going to be doing when they're doing your A2P application and looking at that case description that you've put in, your brand, and the website that you have. they're going to make sure that every single link is working. I've had that happen a lot of times where I thought I had everything working. I went ahead and submitted the A2P. It was rejected. I went back to the website, looked through everything, and what it was there was just one link that was not connected the way that it needed to be. So make sure that all of your links are working. Also, here's some other things. You want to make sure that when you are doing your A2P, and you're having to put in that opt-in information, make sure if they're asking for a screenshot, if they're actually asking for a picture, if you're adding those pictures, make sure that it is the full screen of the entire live funnel. I've never seen this, but I did have some people come to me and they said, "Hey, they're asking for a picture," and I'm like, "Really? I've never seen that. I've always just seen where I put in my website information." They're also going to ask what page of the website is the opt-in live on. So if there's not a form to fill out on your home page, don't put the home page as the opt-in position inside of your website and or funnel. If it is on a contact me page, then make sure that you're grabbing that actual link. So like the joesmith.com/contact me or contact us or just straight contact, whatever it is. Make sure that you're in there and when you're submitting that inside of your trust center when you're doing your A2P. Now let's talk about your case description. This is the thing that's going to happen all the time. Your case description has to be specific. You have to talk about marketing messages and non-marketing messages. You're also going to have to pick a type of service. So if you're saying that this is, say, like customer care or things like that, there's no marketing in customer care allowed. So don't have it in there. You're going to get unapproved. When you're going in manually and doing your A2P, which it always says, "Oh, don't do this." That's the way I always do it because it gives me the ability to change and make everything specific for my business type. But they're going to ask for, "Hey, what is a sample message?" Here's one that you could send. "Hi, blank. This is Jackie with my business name. Just confirming your home search consult on Tuesday at this time. Reply stop to opt out." That has to be in there. Now, I have had some people that are like, "Hey, I'm sending out messages and it says, like my business name and then it says reply stop. Can I take that off?" No, you can't. You said in your privacy policy that people will reply stop to opt out. If you don't have that on there, they don't know to type stop. So that's going to be on there. It's not going to be on every single message, but it is going to come out on the very first message. And then I believe, if I'm not wrong, currently the policy is like every 30 days, it has to give that reminder again. So just keep in mind that you are going to have to be putting in some sample messages that people will get, not only for your service, but also the opt out. Another reason that you may be failing at A2P is because your domain is too new. Okay, so you started a new business, you're doing a professional cleaning company, you just got your LLC, you got your EIN, now you're a full-fledged running business. Go off to GoDaddy or whatever other platform that you're using currently to purchase a domain. You throw it into GoHighLevel. You build your website in like a lickety split, maybe a day or two, and then you submit it to A2P. Every box is checked, every T is crossed, every I is dotted. You followed every single step that I gave you inside of this tutorial, and you still failed. Well, chances are your domain is just too fresh. If your domain that you have purchased and your website is less than 2 weeks old, wait before submitting. Let it sit there alive for a little bit longer. If it hides everything, right? If your domain privacy hides everything, that's going to be a red flag to carriers. Because remember, the idea is that the A2P is protecting the public. So if you have anything that's hidden or anything that's not visible, that's going to be a red flag. And also make sure that you are not using, and this is again for real estate agents, if you're using your website, don't have any links going off to other third-party sites. So don't say, "Oh, if you would like to see my buyer guide, click here," and then it goes to a Canva website for your buyer guide. No. Download that thing as a PDF, upload it inside of your GoHighLevel, and then have it as a pop-up. Okay. You want to make sure that there are no links on side of your website that are going to go to third-party sites. Well, Jackie, what if I have a calendar link and I'm going off to like my Calendly app? Okay, so what I'm going to suggest is that you save that money that you were paying for Calendly and then go ahead and create those calendars inside of Go High Level. We'll talk about that another day on another tutorial, but you can go ahead and create those in there. I had a user who said, "Oh, well, I can't have people, or I need people to be able to pay to book an appointment." You can do that inside of your calendars and Go High Level. So if you have a new domain, if anything is hidden, they don't know who it is, or if it's a brand new brand, it's going to be a slow review. It's going to take them a while and you actually may still fail. So most rejections are going to come down to these two things. Number one, your privacy policy. Okay, you're missing something, or your opt-in language. So if you are sitting there and you've still gotten the failures, don't have any worries. You can go ahead and you can reach out to me directly. My email again is Jackie at the apexinitiative.ai. Send me a message, just put in the subject line A2P help, and I can reach out to you. We can schedule a time to jump on Zoom. I'll take a peek at what you've got just to see if I can see anything that's just sticking out really quick. But the main thing is that anything that is causing your failure, I can usually fix those things. So let's talk about that. But the one thing is making sure that you are getting those. If you're checking all of these boxes, though, your A2P should come back approved within 24 to 48 hours. I think the last one that I sent was a newer site. So I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks old, and it did take like 3 or 4 days, but it did come back as approved. Now, reaching out with me and working with me, first and foremost, make if you're not already following and subscribe to this YouTube channel, go ahead and hit subscribe so that way you can get that information. Go down into the different videos and see if there's any other things that you are working in Go High Level, having trouble with, and making sure that you can get some help from that. I actually do a live demo inside of Go High Level. I typically talk about one specific problem that I'm seeing or one thing that I'm getting a lot of questions about. And I do that every single week on Tuesdays from 10 to 11 Arizona time. So pay attention to Arizona time because sometimes we're Mountain Pacific, or sometimes we're Mountain and sometimes we're Pacific. So make sure that you're looking at those. Also, inside of that, you're going to see the very first workflow that I think everyone needs to create inside of their system once they do have a phone number. And then also there's going to be new videos that are coming out every single week. So you can go down there at the bottom and it has that link, but basically it's youtube.com/ at Jackie Durbin AZ since I'm out in Arizona. The other ways that I can help you out is I can help you with actually by joining a community. We have a community called the Apex community. And what it is, it's other people in our community who are using Go High Level. They can ask questions, they can share what's working. It is more geared towards real estate agents. So if you're in another industry, you may feel like that you're not getting a lot from that group just because we're typically looking at how we can use our Go High Level system in the industry to provide better services. But you will find troubleshooting, you'll find templates, workflows, things like that that have been created. The other thing is I can handle us all for you. So you can email me if you have an A2P question. You can send me your funnel, your privacy policy, all of the links, and then I can go ahead and go through it and see what I think is going wrong, give you an audit. I can also fix your privacy policy, your opt-in language directly, and then I'll go ahead and send that back to you so that way you can do that. Those audits are free against your checklist, so you can just text me at that number down there, and I can reach out to you, and then I'll go ahead and give that audit to you. The other thing is maybe you're like, wow, I've got this entire system of Go High Level and I'm going to need help creating everything. I do a one-stop shop. You can reach out to me directly, comment down below again, or email or text me and I can help you out. Go High Level is one of the most powerful operating systems that I've ever seen help various businesses, doesn't matter what industry that you're in. However, it can feel a bit overwhelming, especially if you're doing it all on your own. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel. You connect with me either through socials, through this channel, through my email or phone. And I look forward to helping you get better at Go High Level and increasing your business. Talk to you later.